Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Dots. Namo Kansho.
Good morning, and welcome to the New York Buddhist Church. Today is December 11th? No, 10th, sorry, 2022. We're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. We'll begin service with quiet sitting. Please sit up straight, calm your mind, and follow your breath. Today's service will open with Sambujo, the three respectful callings, Hyobyakumon, Aspiration, and the three treasures. You will find that on page 8 of your service book. Our chant today is JØ-SEI-GE, Reaffirming the Vows, Nembutsu, and Ekoku Merit Transference on page 54. Gobunsho, the three letters of Rennyo Shonin, is found on page 128, and we will be reading Matsudai Muchi no Sho, chapter on the ignorant beings of the final age. And our Dharma message today will be delivered via pre-recorded message from the Venerable Khenpo Pema Wangdak. We will close service with singing the Gathas Seiya and Nembutsu, Namu Amida Butsu.
flowers of welcome. We respectfully call upon Shakyamuni Tathagata to enter this dojo as we joyfully scatter flowers of welcome. We respectfully request all the Buddhas of the 10 directions to joyfully enter this dojo as we joyfully scatter flowers of welcome. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Da. Namo Da. Namo Da. Good morning, everyone. Please place your palms together in Gassho. We gather together this morning at the New York Buddhist Church to commemorate the Day of Enlightenment of Siddhartha Gautama, which took place on the morning of December 8th, over 2,500 years ago in India. Along with the rising of the morning star, he became the Buddha, the fully awakened one. As we observe this auspicious occasion, may we learn from the content of his enlightenment and begin to live each day fully, humbly, and gratefully. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Please repeat the 3 treasures after me. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Sangha. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. JÖ-SEI-GE is on page 54 of your red service book.
Zen Shu 読法上大集中説法ししく供養一切仏具足修徳本元年出場満徳意三害を如仏無下地津達未不詳願学営力同志最小尊志願若国家大戦を感動国書天にとうち妙見
Today's Gobunsho, readings of Rennyo, is titled Matsudai Muchi no Sho. I'll read it first in the English and then the traditional Japanese. Laymen and laywomen in the latter age who lack wisdom should deeply rely on Amida Buddha with singleness of heart, entrusting themselves to the Buddha single-mindedly and unwaveringly for their emancipation, without turning their thoughts to other matters. However deep and heavy their evil karma may be, Amida Tathagata unfailingly saves them. This is the essence of the 18th vow that assures our birth in the Pure Land through the Nembutsu. Once our heart is thus settled, we should say the Nembutsu, whether awake or asleep, for as long as we live. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Datsu. Mandai Muchi no Zaike Shiju no Nanyo Taran Tomogara wa Kokoro Shitotsu ni shite Amida Butto Fukaku Tanomi Mayaresete Sarani yono katai kokoro wo furazu Ishi niko ni butasuke tamae tomo-san Shujo ba Tatoi zaigo wo jinju narito mo Kanarazu mida nyorai wa sukui Mashimasu beshi Kore sunawachi Daiju hochi no Nembutsu no jo no Seiya no kokoro nari Kaku no gotoku kenjo shite no ue ni wa Ne tomo same tomo inyochi no an kagiri wa Shomyo Nembutsu beki Mono nari Anakashiko Namon Dabutsu Namon Dabutsu Namon Dabutsu. Now will everyone please rise for the Vandana and Tisarana, please? Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Amen.
Supreme, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one.
Buddham saranam gacchami.
Buddham saranam gacchami.
Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Sangham saranam gacchami.
Sangham saranam gacchami.
I go to the Buddha for guidance.
I go to the Buddha for guidance.
I go to the Dharma for guidance.
I go to the Dharma for guidance.
I go to the Sangha for guidance.
I go to the Sangha for guidance.
Namo Kie Butsu.
Namo Kie Butsu.
Namo Kie Ho.
Namo Kie Ho.
So today we are honored to have a talk by the Tibetan Buddhist teacher Khenpo Pema Wangdak of the Shakya school of Tibetan Buddhism. Khenpo Pema became a monk at the age of 7 and later attended the Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies in Benares, reaching his Acharya degree from Sanskrit University in 1980. In 1982, he was sent by His Holiness, the Shakya Treason, to teach in New York, becoming the first of the younger generation of Tibetan teachers from the Shakya school to settle in the United States. He founded the Vikramashila Foundation in 1989 to support educational initiatives, both in the United States and abroad. The foundation now encompasses the Paljan Shakya Center for Tibetan Buddhist Studies and Meditation in New York, New Jersey, Vermont, Maine, Ohio, the Pema School in Mungod, India for Tibetan lay children, Pumatsai Sakya Monastic Institute in Pokhara, Nepal, and Pema School in New York, whose curriculum is modeled after that of the Shakya College in India. In addition to these institutional projects, Khenpo Pema has a special interest in Tibetan language, pedagogy, and is the creator of a form of Tibetan Braille known as Buryig. He received the title of Khenpo from His Holiness the Shakya Treason in 2007 in recognition of his humanitarian work around the world. Khenpo Pema was awarded the Ellis Island Medal of Honor in 2009. He is the first Tibetan to receive this honor.
First of all, I'd like to say hello to all the members at the Buddhist Church. Today, this special moment, we gather here together to commemorate Bodhi Day. I'm extremely honored to be asked to speak and to say a few words. Before I do that, I'd like to express my thank you to the Buddhist Church for all the years of acquaintance, friendship, and our neighborhood relationship. I'm on 101st Street, Central Park West. Right now, I'm not in the Central Park West, but that's where my place is. I have known Buddhist Church since 1982. My teacher is Holiness Sakya Chen, head of the Sakya Order Tibetan Buddhists. When he came to US in 1977, if I remember correctly, your temple hosted teachings. And over the years, every now and then, we had the opportunity, and you have the hospitality to organize some of Paljan Sakya activities from time to time, especially with the visitation of our teachers from abroad, from India, from Nepal. So I'd like to thank all the past pastors, ministers, and the present ministers and members for keeping the Buddhist Church activity alive and available as a resource center to cater Buddha's teaching. Teachings of the Buddha is new to the world, to this world, in the last probably more or less 100 or so years. Is for the first time Buddha's teaching were brought to the West through Europe. And now the teachings of the Buddha for this new generation, especially with this younger generation Buddhist, who are born to Buddhist parents, and they see as a matter of fact that there's their spiritual heritage or spiritual beliefs So it's very, very profoundly significant. And the work your temple do represents the Buddha himself. And so today I'd like to speak not so much of something new, but more something what we already know and what we are, as the reminder, to inspire, and also sort of as the practice. The purpose of Buddha's teaching is to guide the world, to help the world to do best, whoever they are. The ones who are aspiring for freedom, there is in the teachings of Buddha, you will find the way to freedom. For those who are looking for enlightenment, there you will find the path to the enlightenment. For those who wanted to have a slightly happier life, a more comfortable life, more amicable friendliness among each others, there in the teachings of Buddha, one will find the teachings. So in the teachings of the Buddha, one should remember there is some totality of teachings that caters to any person, any walks of life, any stage of their life, or any level of their spiritual development. And what we should learn as individual is to take the advantage of the teaching in a systematic way. Systematic meaning we should not miss the opportunity to benefit from the teachings of the Buddha based on our spiritual development. In other words, we should remember not to be discouraged by not being able to do things that we cannot do, which means that we are strongly reminded. On the other hand, we should be doing things wholeheartedly and intelligently and dedicatedly about the things we are able to do so. So in other words, there's a room for growth for everyone, and there's a guidance available in the teachings of the Buddha. And we as Buddhists should take advantage of that. I say this because I can speak to you and others, not as a judgment to others, but judging my own self, how much of I'm doing it, how much I'm able to do it, how much I'm not doing it, I'm supposed to do it, or how much I'm trying to do something I cannot that successfully, or am I that I'm not that capable of doing. These are discernment that we require. We call it discerning wisdom. We require it. We have to use constantly, and be guided by that. Because if we don't, I notice in my life, trying to do a lot of things that are not yet. Time has come, but the capacity is there, or the resources are there. On the other hand, I may forget or ignore, or even just simply fail to recognize hundreds of other things I'm so capable and that of doing it, and that can make a huge difference to oneself and to all others. So there should be a precision in the teachings of Buddha. And those precisions are, philosophically speaking, we're going to call it centeredness or middle way or realistic, pragmatic. In other words, we should pray that may all beings be happy and have the cause of happiness, knowing fully that that is, at any given time, that is impossible. May no one ever suffer. We should pray. We should pray and we should aim and we should dedicate ourselves. And yet, at the same time, pragmatically, there will never come a time that no one ever suffers. So how do we reconcile, or how are we supposed to understand the things, the teachings of Buddha, where it should include all, and yet you can only do parts. So those are we call it discerning wisdoms it requires. And discerning wisdom requires education, and it's just simply doing kind of like a routine kind of thing. But it should be a creative, imaginative, progressive, open-minded, and grounded. While we aim for the stars, we should remember to make sure our foot is on the ground. While we aim for the happiness of all, we should focus to take care of one's own good health, by pursuing what Buddha taught for good health and peace of mind. These are the basics. While we focus on our own self, our own health and peace of mind, we also should include others' well-being and their peace of mind. So there's a trainings that we all do, but we do forget. And part of the reason why we commemorate special holidays like Bodhi Day, or in our social life birthdays, or any other special days we commemorate or celebrate, is the one function is to remember something. So when we celebrate Bodhi Day, in a nutshell, Bodhi Day should remind us to remember the teachings of the Buddha and pursue better than the last year, if it is an anniversary, or better than last month, or better than yesterday. Things like that are some of the things that should remind us on this day. Having said that, on the other hand, I'd also like to encourage to be a little progressive, outgoing, that the spiritual matter, especially Buddha's teaching, is a commonwealth. It's not a Buddhist thing. We call ourselves Buddhists, but actually teachings of the Buddha should not be treated like an exclusive Buddhist thing. It should be treated like a commonwealth. And it's true, if we educate ourselves carefully and sincerely and open-mindedly, you will see, except the parts that became part of certain culture like India or Tibet or Japan, is applicable to all indiscriminately. And meaning that we have a responsibility to not only benefit from the teachings of the Buddha, but to actually share it to others. And we need to develop or train our mind, our social life, our friendliness, our friendship, to spread the words. Now, how do we do it? That's a big question, but need to do is important. To generate the need to do, to promote the word of the Buddha is important. And of course, you go to the monastery, you go to the temple, you listen to the teachings, you do meditation. These are, I think, a minor issue. These are a very personal thing. So it's that's why Buddhism is becoming more of an exclusive middle class kind of interest. It seems to be, it only caters to people whose concerns are not about food, clothes, or shelter, but who have those, and now they're sensing, feeling there's something else they needed. This is not really what Buddha taught, actually, but it is becoming like that. Unfortunately, it is, I think, human nature. Buddhist children become Buddhists, Christians become Christians. This is a human made up. And we are not different from that. And which I don't think is anything wrong with it, but just it reminds us that it's kind of like a special group's interest values versus universal values. So that's something I like to encourage or remind your group to keep in mind. How do we go about it? Do we do door-to-door, or do a major advertisement, or start standing on the street corner shouting? I mean, people do like that, or produce a lot of children and make sure that they all become Buddhist, or whatever. I mean, we humans do all sorts of things. Very interesting, and do it. Buddhists are not different. I don't think any Buddhist will do any one of this. Buddhism is becoming more like an elite group's interest. Unfortunately, it's becoming more private property kind of values. We lose the courage and the confidence in spreading the word of the Buddha, because we can find the teaching of the Buddha as some special interest. And I think there is something connected to our attitude. But I think, having raised this issue, I think there are ways to do it. From the Buddhist way, Buddhists should be better in practicing Buddhism. And one of them is, Buddha taught that there are 4 ways to do it, but out of 4 ways, one of the things most important, which is very available and effective, and also helpful and reachable, is the friendliness, friendship. Okay, to understand that, if one is teaching to one's own children, how do we teach? Traditionally, we make sure we teach them how to bow to the Buddha, fold our hands, say Buddhist prayer. These are more of a gesture. The real teaching is that you love them, you care for them, because that's the language any human being will understand, old and young. Not only humans, animals understand that. If you teach them as a religion, it's going to be hard. If you teach them as the Buddha's teaching, it's going to be easy, effective. Bowing to the Buddha, if you teach them how to bow, fold a hand, bow to the Buddha, it's very good. That's a gesture. But if you complement that, if you combine that with the caring and endearing relationship with your children, they will see that as something beautiful, and they'll grow up in that world. Well, what if, on the other hand, you teach them how to fold the hand, bow to the Buddha, and you're not that caring and endearing, and on the top of that, you shout at them? They will relate those behaviors as something uncomfortable, something they will resent. Now, this is just a metaphor, but it can happen. It often happens. So we take seriously about to praise the Buddha, to sing a song of praise to the Buddha, to read the praise poem in the praise of the Buddha, or whatever we do in the name of Buddha. The best way to praise is to spread his words. And the best way to spread his word is to be kind, to gentle, to be friendliness, to be helpful. And people are bound to give attention. And I strongly suggest that to your group. And also, since I'm your spiritual friend, it also is a reminder for my own self, is that we take seriously the teachings of the Buddha through our behaviors to each others. And of course, there are so many things to do: the friendship, the friendliness, the caring, and if you can enhance it deeper, affection, even deeper, compassion and loving, at the least start with the friendship. And my teacher calls it power of friendship. And this day and age, the people are essentially, if you look close enough, the greatest influence, maybe even more than our parents and our teachers, is the friend next to oneself. We don't know how much they're affecting us, and they do. But if you really quantify and kind of do a little research, if you were, kind of just for the sake of just to make a point, the greatest influence on our life is going to be our friends. And finally, just to give you a metaphor, parents love their children, but they fail to befriend because their love is only in the heart. But they don't know how to show or caring, and so the other person can actually see what's the inside of the parent's heart. So I noticed in the West, especially Buddhists didn't do well in passing what little knowledge or faith you found in your life in the name of Buddha and his Dharma to the generation next. I think Buddhists are way behind, for good or worse. Part because we don't know. Especially the American Buddhists are born out of Beat generation. I don't know what that means, but I have some idea. And they did extremely well bringing the Buddha and his teaching to the West. Like anything else, when we are good at one thing, we always miss something else. But we didn't do well in passing to our own next generation. That's my opinion, and I may be true. It may be true. So I have noticed that imagine if you have a children and you love them, but you don't know how to care for them. How? The word is how. They are most likely to leave the home the first thing they can. I've seen it often. But the thing that that really kind of drives them is, when shall we just leave and go and be free? Kind of like a birds that can rest at home. And then they go somewhere. Where do they go? To a place where there's their generation, they're like-minded people. So the parents will say the nicest, the best thing, but in the wrong way. People won't listen. And yet their friends can be saying the worst thing, can be destructive. And they will listen. That shows you the power of friendship. So if somebody says nicely and gently and in such an affectionate way, one is more likely to listen to them. And so if the parent says, take this, it's good for you, they are most likely to say, no, mom, I pass. Take this, this is a medicine, it's good for you, and they will say, I will pass. If their friend says, I have some poison here, you want to try it? The person more likely to say, yeah, I want to try that. So there's that kind of extreme setup that exists based on what happens in the relationship. So as Buddhists, we have to go back home. And the word in Tibetan Buddhist, word for Buddhist, we call Nangpa. Nangpa means Nang means home. Pa means the one who stays home, who looks inward, is introspective. So teachings of the Buddha directly connects to our hearts, and this heart should connect to other hearts as well. And we should start with the power of friendship. And that way, these teachings of the Buddha not only benefited us, we have contributed to some degree that the teachings of the Buddha is continued for the next generations. So we have the responsibility. The Buddha didn't just teach us so that we have some benefit, but also we should remind ourselves that we have the responsibility to pass it. There's teachings available for the next generation. So with this, I'd like to conclude. And once again, I thank you very much, everyone, for this special moment. And love to see you another occasion like this. Thank you very much.
But they guide us to embody the Buddha's teachings. They guide us to live a life where we are the best that we can be, embodying kindness, embodying compassion, and allowing that to come out and reflect. So, when it comes to our day-to-day lives, it really is quite difficult, isn't it? But that's what Namo Amida Butsu in our school helps us when we're facing difficult moment, or when we catch ourselves behaving in a way that runs counter to what we think how we think we should behave. Namo Amida Butsu. It reminds us that the Buddha's wisdom and compassion is immeasurable, and it is indescribable, and it embraces us all. And because of that, we try to be the best we can be, so that we can carry the teachings of the Buddha and the wisdom and compassion that we receive in our own lives forward. So yes, I've known Khenpo Pema quite many, many years. He actually knew Reverend Seki. And we're very grateful for his spiritual friendship and for his Dharma sharing today. So thank you, Khenpo Pemala. Very grateful. So we will conclude our service today with the two Gathas, Seiya and Nembutsu. So I think everyone has, if you don't have a if you don't have a copied sheet, does everyone have a copy of Seiya? Okay, it's in the purple service book if you don't have it. Thank you. And then that will be followed with Nembutsu. Everyone please rise for the Gatha. Please be seated. So this brings us close to the end of our service. And at this point, we like to greet any newcomers or first-time visitors to the temple. So do we have anyone visiting for the first time? Oh, please stand and introduce yourself so we may greet you.
Hello, my name is Doran. I, along with Kwong, go to Columbia College. We're both seniors, and thank you for allowing me into this space. It's quite beautiful.
Thank you so very much. We're so glad that you could join us today. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you all for joining today's service. It's your presence here today and our joining our voices together in Nembutsu that makes the service so special. Thank you. So I would like to thank our greeters today, Ruth Funai and Hiroki Hasukawa. Thank you both so very much for greeting everyone coming in. I'd also like to thank Nobuko Kodama-san for playing the piano for us today, and also for her kind help in assisting me to dress the Naijin for today's special service. Thank you, Nobuko. Our tech team today is David Brady, and Carl, thank you for presetting all the audio controls wherever you are. Hope you're having a good day. But most of all, thank all of you. We really appreciate your being here. We appreciate those of you who are here listening, and we hope that you continue to support us by attending service either in presence, we love to see you, or online if you are elsewhere, if you're too far away to come in person. We hope that it's not because of illness. I see everyone here is masked. Please continue to mask up. It's, according to the CDC, it's going to be a very difficult winter with 3 viruses already out there. So, and several people who are part of the Sangha have caught COVID or the flu, not just once. So we appreciate your, it's another way of showing our kind hearts, is to be concerned for others and put our masks on. So let's see what else. So next week's service will be our last service of the year before our JØ-SEI-GE and our first of the year service. So we will not be meeting on Christmas Day. So next week will be a regular service, and then we will have our New Year's service, which takes place at 7 p.m. on New Year's Eve, where we ring the Kansho 108 times. And following that, we will have our Shusho-e, or first day of the year service. And that will be a regular service at 11:30 a.m. So we welcome, these are both public services, and we welcome all of you to join, bring your friends. You are all most welcome. It's a lovely way to end the year, thinking of everything we've lived through and been challenged by and learned from in the year that's ending, and how we aspire to do better next year through what we have learned and what we've kept in our hearts as a pathway towards our future growth. So on that note, please join me in our final Gassho. In gratitude and thankfulness for the Buddhist teachings that enhance our lives and the teachings of Shinran Shonin, who causes us to appreciate through his eyes the meaning of Namo Amida Butsu, the Buddha's compassion and wisdom, which is extended to us through repeating his holy name. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you all so much. If you have not yet done Oshoko incense offering, you may do so at the close of service. Thank you.